United States and Canada from 1565 to 1700. Spain has been colonizing the Caribbean, Mexico, Central America, and Latin America since 1492. United States and
Peace, love, and light. Your hostess with the most is burning like toast is Cosmo Cal, man. Hey, coming back with I started a build, I think it was last week or the week before or whatever. Been real busy. I kind of wanted to get back to this. I think it's an important topic. It's Jehovah Chronicles number 171. How the colonizers stole and acquired titles to the land. Shout out to all the Aboriginals. Shout out to the Faithists. Shout out to the Essenes, the Nazarenes. Shout out to all my Moors. Shout out to all the Brahmins. Shout out to all the Vedics. You dig what I'm talking about? And the different denominations around the world who are looking for that higher light. This your big bro checking in. You dig what I'm talking about? We're going to go a little bit into this, but I kind of, before I got into King James himself and what we will learn about the Virginia Charter, right? And we're going to get into one of the great mysteries of how this stuff was even, who did you buy the land from, right? Who gave you authority to come over here and do anything? He's going to tell you that it's his God. And so now we understanding that his God don't exist. It's really just a white man in Rome called the Pope, right? And even if you say his God does exist, it is a false God that would go around the world enslaving, creating chattel slavery, using their powers like papal bulls and through doctrines like Dom Diversis and the doctrine of discovery to utterly eradicate, subjugate, and colonize a people. You must be a devil. You cannot be a God. With this understanding, you dig what I'm talking about. We're gonna get right into it. You dig what I'm saying? But first, let's pay these bills.
Welcome to the Jehovah Chronicles with your host, Cosmon Cal.
We ain't gonna hold you up too much longer. You dig what I'm talking about? We're gonna get to this light, man. Hey, your boy, who up in here? Up in here, man. Let's give it a shout out, a little quick shout out. My Ima has always been better than your Ima. Mahalia Naturals. CGG, FGK, False God Killers in the house. That's right. We the people. Salute, salute, salute. El Yah. Islam. Peace to you more. One truth. Say peace. Love and respect. Always, always, family. You dig what I'm talking about? Who else we got up in here? Just me. Say peace. Love, light, and Cosmon. Now, I know a lot of people will take that at face value and they say, well, why do they keep saying your name at the end? Well, actually, what Cosmon means is balance, right? It means balance. And it is the name of the arc cycle we're in. So for the next 3,000 years, there will be a great balance, high spirituality and high physicality all at the same time, right? So it kind of means balance, but it also is the now. So it's the balance of now or yourself. You dig what I'm saying? From NYC to South CAC, that's right. LaShonda, man, we got to get you and Joe on here, man. What am I doing? You dig what I'm talking about? Listen, man, I do not do well working for other people. I didn't have this little JO and whatnot, and man, you know what I mean? They don't even handle the business right all the time. So you dig what I'm talking about? I'm just really, you got to be sure about what you're doing. I got other people who depend on me. So I just can't willy-nilly leave up out of those situations where I'm making money. But at the same time, man, I'd rather do it on my own. You dig what I'm talking about? Y'all don't even know. It's a whole side of Cosmon I haven't even been able to show y'all. You dig what I'm talking about? I haven't even been able to show you all the farming skills because I don't have time. You dig what I'm talking about? But I'm going to bring out the other channels. I want to show y'all my hip hop channel. I also breed dogs. I don't get to show y'all. I'll be busy a lot. So when I get a chance to really shed some light, and hey, look, man, y'all hit that that thumbs up. You dig what I'm talking about? Thumb up the video and share it. Share the video for me. Share it, put it on your social media. You dig what I'm talking about? Share it to your multiple social media sites. I welcome people trying to come at me to debunk anything I'm saying. I want y'all to know, as big bro, I'm not going to just tell y'all anything. I'm not about to tell you nothing. I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and I'm going to show you that science backs up everything I'm going to say. And then, historically, I'm going to show it with empirical data. I'm never going to say nothing out my mouth I can't absolutely show you why I'm saying what I'm saying. Right? But we got to get my sis Joe up here, man. Listen, Joe is sues. Nobody can tell me no different. I don't care if you tried to tell me different. My sister's husband is a suist. He talked to them spirits regularly. Regularly. You dig what I'm talking about? So he be having whole conversation. Listen, we gonna get it together. You dig what I'm talking about? But y'all gotta see this, man. It's amazing. You know what I mean? Some of that information he brought back, and this was a while ago, still got my jaw on the ground. You know what I mean? Who else we got up in here? Prince Judah Vaughn up in this thing. You dig what I'm talking about? He say wisdom, power, and strength to the aboriginal faithists of Utama, huh? The place of the 4 tribes. They don't know, cuz. They don't know where they at. If it ain't America, they think America's the oldest name. They don't know. It's a name older than Gautama. They don't know. They get to talking about Amaruka and Amariki and all this crazy stuff. You dig what I'm talking about? But that ain't the name of the land. Yeah, what was it called before it was America? What was it called before it was called that? This is why Owaspy is beneficial. You dig what I'm talking about? That's right. Who else we got up in this thing? Belinda Brown say, love, light, and healings. Hey, look, speaking of that, she just reminded me of something. And if she's watching, I hope you're watching. Let me see if I can throw my camera on real quick. What's wrong with my camera? Okay. Well, either way, me and my sister, man, the dragon. Y'all know my sister Sylvie. You dig what I'm talking about? I hope it didn't seem. It might have been a little rough. I might have been a little rough the last time we spoke. You dig what I'm saying? I'm not ashamed of what I said, or nor am I apologizing for being wrong about what I said. I was absolutely right. But what I am apologizing for is putting that negativity in the air and then not cleaning it up, because it wasn't a personal thing. You dig what I'm talking about? I didn't hate on her personally or try to bash her or nothing, man. And I just want her to know. You dig what I'm talking about? I didn't take it personal. I hope you didn't take what I said personal. You dig what I'm talking about? Because, my baby sis got in her feelings a little. That's my big sister. Got in her feelings a little bit about what Cosmon said. You dig what I'm saying? But now my sister's sick. And she's not feeling well. I don't want that energy to be the last thing that she remembers as a tie with me. You dig what I'm saying? So with that, I apologize for any negative feelings or that you may have took from the whole situation, whether true or false. I apologize for them all, and I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope you get better, sis. You dig what I'm talking about? If they playing this in the thing for you, you dig what I'm saying? Just know your bro love you and just get better and come home, okay? You know? And, things start to, they don't have the same importance anymore once you realize the true blessings in life, like health, has been taken from you. You know what I mean? Money don't mean that much no more. The limelight don't mean that much no more. You know what I mean? Those physical wants and needs, they don't mean that much no more. Right? You're definitely not thinking about trying to drop it like it's hot in a club while you can't breathe. It's the last thing on your mind. So it kind of puts life in its perspective. It kind of put life in a real perspective. You did what I'm talking about. And I just wanted to shoot my love light out there to my big sis Sylvie, the dragon. Y'all send some love up to the dragon. Jaja know who you talking about. You ain't got to know this, sisters. Just say love and light. You know what I mean? Throw that good energy over there on the dragon, and you come on home, sis. You did what I'm saying? James Giant. It's a giant in our midst, and Ahuan. You dig what I'm talking about? Who else we got up in here? This one of the brothers right here, F. Shael 369, who got me to come back out and bring some information that I brought out. I'm gonna show him what I was saying about the tribes. Shout out to you. Hey, little puppy. F. Shael 369. Y'all the boss absent father. Man, shout out to you, man. Hey, K-Go. Hey, K-Go ain't got no hold on. That's weird. I thought you already had a hold on, K-Go. Hold on, that's tripping. Hold on 1 second, y'all. One second, y'all. All right. Oh yeah, hold on one. I got one more. All right, I need y'all to do something for me real quick. James Giant, hit the link, man. Come pick up that jewelry. F. Shael 369, come pick up that jewelry. You dig what I'm talking about? You got some jewelry waiting for you. K-Go, you got some jewelry waiting for you, brother. Pick that up. You dig what I'm talking about? El Ya, hit the link. You dig what I'm talking about? Hit the put a message in the chat, man. Come pick that jewelry up. You dig what I'm talking about? Now what? Come pick that jewelry up. My sis too. I got you too. My sis always come through. She always come through showing love and light. Shout out to Elisa Edwards. Come pick that jewelry up, sis. I got some diamonds. Diamond love forever. I got some diamonds waiting for you. Hey, look, I don't want to keep going down long, but who else we got up in here? El Ya, the OG up in this thing. Shout out to the Moors, Islamism. You dig what I'm talking about? Clay Gray up in this thing. Shout out for coming through, Clay Gray. You dig what I'm talking about? Hopefully this can be beneficial and, show some light. And because in the end of what I'm about to do, I'm about to go show you where you go look to see if your people, if you didn't did your genealogy, you could try to find some of this land. Because remember, the contracts are void. Before we even start, I want y'all to understand that everything we about to get into, the Virginia Charter, void. It's void. Dum diversis is void. Doctrine of discovery, void. All the quote unquote Indian treaties, void. They never, the so-called patent system that comes from quote unquote acquiring land from the Indians and its original inhabitants. First of all, it never happened. And two, it's void. So now it's time to tie yourself back in to your ancient ancestors. Learn them last names. Learn who, because I'm guaranteeing you got something. And many of y'all got a bunch of land because your ancestors fought in wars. 1865, the American Civil War, the American-Mexican War, the War 1812, right? Revolutionary War. You dig what I'm saying? So we gonna have to even go farther than that. But once you can tie yourself back, document it, start looking. Cosmon gonna show y'all where to start looking, man. But you gotta know what happened first. You can't solve a problem if you don't know what happened. You dig what I'm saying? Now what? That's right. Now what up in this thing? Sister Lisa up in this thing. F. Shael up in this thing. You dig what I'm talking about? With no further ado, man, let's just get this thing cracking. I wanted to set the premise for y'all. What was going on in the colonial times? Then we're going to show you King James and his charter, right? Which is called the Virginia Company. But we got to give you the background. We got to tell you what happened. So you got a little know-how and where to be looking, and you dig what I'm talking about, so you don't get blindsided again, right? This is all a dupe. This is legal trickery and tricknology at its best, accompanied with war, right? This fake pretended patriotism, right? All gassed up by a false god, right? Named Christ. That is a false god, y'all, who gave the right to turn men into a thing that had never been done before. It made them chattel. It had never been done. And then to create slaves by your mother being indentured or enslaved, so all the mother's children, irregardless of who the father is enslaved, is an ill that false god Christ, aka Luamon, will be paying for thousands of years. Oh yeah, that's right. Christ already went to hell, if y'all didn't know. You ain't gotta believe it. But we gotta know the history, right? So when they tell you, when you get some new information, you say, oh, well, that happened then. Well, how is this going on at this time if this is going on, right? You're able to more get a well-rounded view of what is actually happening, right? Let's check this out, y'all. I'm gonna go into the video, and then I'm gonna let him break down the timelines and all that for you, because this is important, right? We're gonna break down the timelines, and then we're gonna get into the Virginia head writing patent system, which is how they stole the land. But let's go.
This presentation outlines the development of European colonies in the future United States and Canada from 1565 to 1700. Spain has been colonizing the Caribbean, Mexico, Central America, and Latin America since 1492. Colonization north of Mexico in what is now the United States and Canada began 73 years later. Let's zoom into the future United States and Canada. The Native American language and cultural groups along the Atlantic Ocean from north to south are Algonquin, which includes many nations that extend from Maine and northeastern Canada down the coast to the Carolinas. Siouan language speakers are, very interestingly, present in the area of the Carolinas, so there is a linguistic connection between some of these nations here in the south and the Plains people. Below them, in present-day Georgia and Florida, are the Muskogean family of nations, and in the Great Lakes region are the Iroquoian nations. The Pueblo are in the south.
Hold on. Now, he's right to an extent, right? And for the most part, he is correct. But right down here in Florida, right? At the top of Florida, all Jacksonville and all that, all through the top of Florida, these again are Algonquin people called Timucua, right? Below them is a Muskogee in lower Florida, but then again, right, you get you get a Muskogean based language underneath them called the Calusa, right? These is what your real Seminoles would have been primarily made of. Your Timucua and your Calusa, and also right here would have been your Appalachia. And over here would have been all your creeks, right? In the 1800s. But before that, they would have been Tuscaroras, which would have came out there Siouan speaking people. You dig what I'm talking about? Etowans, Ottawas, basically what they call everybody on this coast is the Guale. All these Indians up and down here, they're just calling them all Guale because they're on the Guale coast. Regardless of Muskogee, which is an Algonquin-based language. Also, another tribe that they didn't put up here in the Great Lakes region, because the Iroquois is more back this way, back towards New York. Right here, a whole bunch of Algonquin and Huron people. There's a whole Huron confederacy. Many of these Siouan people who are out west in the Lakotas and Dakotas started over here in Michigan and in Minnesota. They got chased out by the Iroquois. during the Beaver Wars during the 1600s, right? I just wanted to give y'all a little background and information on the stuff that he didn't bring up. There's a whole people group right here called Huron, right? Right next to the Iroquois, and even around all that, and even all through it is Algonquin. So it's not like the Algonquin. Everywhere you see, all basically, if you go from Mexico, right, to the East Coast, these are Muskogean people, Algonquin based, Algonquin speaking, Algonquin genetically, from the early Algonquin nation, right? Same people as the Algonquin. They just north, right? Then you got your Iroquoian people, right? Who would be called Mongoloidal, right? And then you get your admixed people, who would be called Siouan. Now the Siouans can have Muskogean languages. They can have straight Siouan-based languages that lean Algonquin. They can have Siouan-based languages that lean Iroquoian. So basically, there are a mix or three-way primary people in America. You got your Algonquin nigger stock. You got your Iroquoian Mongoloidal stocks. And then you got your mixed groups of any type called Siouan. Primarily, this is what you're going to see on the records. And backing up the courts, through the courts, it explains that many of these Muskogans look like Negroes. Many of these Algonquins look like Negroes. The Sioux look like Negroes. Also, the Iroquoian. Even though we know many of these people are Mongoloidal and come straight out the Tinmay, descended from the Aleut Inuit stock, they say these look like Negroes. Remember, you got Fox, Winnebago, the Sauk, all these groups over here, like in Minnesota, Wisconsin, all that area over here. They used to be in Michigan. The Potawatomis used to be up here. Now they in Michigan. Right? The Ojibways, the Anishinaabe, they way west now. They started over here in Michigan. Why did they move that way? Iroquois invasion. During the Beaver Wars, they started getting guns from the English and the Dutch. They start getting guns. They instantly start raiding here. Right? They all up here, all up St. Lawrence. This is Iroquois territory. Right? Right here, you got your Eries. All right here, you got your Windrows. All down here, you got in southern Quebec, right under here, you got what is called a neutral. Right? This is how I know we got a lot of this Algonquin blood, but we got this Iroquoian blood because we some fighting niggas up here in Detroit, and we don't rock with nobody. The key why they call them neutral is they didn't beef with the Algonquins and they didn't beef with the Iroquois. If you wasn't tripping with them, they wasn't tripping with you. But if you trip with these niggas, it's a problem. They coming to get you. They some of the best warriors. You dig what I'm talking about? Aren't the oldest nations of North America Washita and Yamasee? No, sir. No, sir. They come much later. Right? Much later. You got to remember Algonquin, right? Come around the time of the Angui. The Angui come on the earth 16,000 BC. And then the nation of, or the 40 mighty nations, The original United States started 6,000 years ago. This 4,000 BC, 3953 BC with Iwata. At that time, wasn't no Iroquois in America. These people, these Siouan stocks, they couldn't exist yet. They didn't get here till much later, thousands of years later, AD times. You dig what I'm saying? No, they're not the oldest at all. Well, let's get back to it real quick. I just wanted to fill that in so y'all know it's a bunch of Huron up in here, bunch of Muskogee all the way up into Tennessee, and a bunch of Algonquin everywhere else. Just want y'all to know that.
Southwest, and it's important to remember that the Spanish will be coming up from Mexico to the southwest. Spanish colonies will be shown in yellow, English colonies in red, French colonies in blue, and Dutch colonies in orange. The date and the monarch of England will be shown in the bottom right-hand corner. Let's begin in 1565. Queen Elizabeth I is the monarch in England. The first successful European foothold above Mexico is the Spanish colony of St. Augustine, founded in modern Florida in 1565. 1585. Sir Walter Raleigh founds the first English colony in North America at Roanoke Island in future North Carolina. The colony dissolves the next year. 1587. A second colony is established at Roanoke Island under John White. The first English child born in North America is Virginia Dare. We will zoom out for a critical world event that affects North America's colonies. In 1588, the Spanish Armada, dispatched from Spain for the purpose of invading England, is largely destroyed by a combination of the English fleet and harsh weather. The demise of the Armada means that Spain is no longer the most powerful nation in the world, and the Armada's ruin provides England, France, and the Netherlands with opportunities to colonize North America. 1590. John White of Roanoke Colony returns to the colony from England with fresh supplies. However, he finds the colony totally abandoned with only the word Croatoan scrawled on wood, a reference to a local native tribe. We will move back into North America and move into a new century. In 1606, King James I, the same King James who authorized the English Bible bearing his patronage, granted a charter to the Virginia Company and the Plymouth Company to establish English colonies in North America. In December of 1606, Captain John Smith is one of about 100 colonists who sail on the ships Susan Constant, the Discovery, and the Godspeed. In spring of 1607, the ships are off the coast of Virginia. The ships sail up a river, which the crew names after King James, and they found Jamestown. It is important to remember that when Jamestown was founded in 1607, Spanish St. Augustine has been in operation for 42 years. A second English colony set out for North America in 1607 from the Plymouth Company. This second venture landed much farther north in modern-day Maine, at the mouth of the Kennebec River at Sagadahoc. This far north colony does not last, and the settlers return to England. Samuel de Champlain of France has a fort erected at Quebec the next year, 1608. In 1609, yet another European power is now in play in North America. The Dutch are on the stage in future New York State. Henry Hudson explores the river that bears his name. In the same region, the French explorer Samuel de Champlain furthers French interests in the Northeast, charting the lake in New York State that bears his name. We often focus on the Atlantic coast, but it's important to remember that colonization is occurring in the American West as well. In 1610, the Spanish settle Santa Fe in future New Mexico among the ancient civilization of the Pueblo. All at once, 4 powers are suddenly active in North America. The English have Jamestown in 1607, the French Quebec in 1608, the Dutch on the Hudson River in 1609, and the Spanish at Santa Fe in 1610. But Jamestown is in danger in 1610. The colony is starving. Pocahontas provides food assistance to Jamestown's starving colonists. The Baron de la Warre arrives with more ships and settlers, and the colony gets a second life. 1613, John Rolfe cultivates West Indian or Caribbean tobacco at Jamestown. This begins the first profitable venture in English North America and establishes tobacco as a cash crop. 1619 is a critical year at Jamestown. 2 contrasting institutions are born that year. One institution is the House of Burgesses, which is the beginnings of representative government in North America. This is contrasted by the first shipment of slaves to Jamestown in that same year. Thus, the American South's contrasting traditions of representative government and slave labor are born in the same year. Another English venture begins in 1620. The Mayflower sets sail with Pilgrim separatists and strangers. Strangers are Mayflower colonists that are not a part of the separatist religious movement. The Mayflower separatists are actually distinct from other Puritans. The Pilgrim separatists on the Mayflower want a full separation from the Church of England, whereas other Puritans want to purify or reform the Church of England. So there is a distinction between radical separatist pilgrims and Puritans. The Mayflower lands at Cape Cod. Plymouth is founded there in the future state of Massachusetts, a name derived from a local native nation. The Wampanoag are there at Cape Cod. The Mayflower Compact is signed on board the ship, a very early governmental document in the future United States.
I want y'all to take clear notice that in this picture, in the Wampanoag Treaty, there are no Indians in this picture. Yet a treaty is being signed. I want y'all to take notice.
1622. The Powhatan Confederacy attacks Jamestown, and the colony's future is again uncertain. King James wants more direct control over Jamestown. In 1624, the Dutch establish Fort Orange at present-day Albany, New York. 1626, the Dutch West India Company establishes New Amsterdam on Manhattan Island. The Lenape and other Algonquian natives are present there. 1630, King Charles I grants John Winthrop a charter for the Massachusetts Bay Colony. 1,000 Puritans, including women and children, sail for Massachusetts. Boston is founded. This settlement is much larger than other English settlements thus far. Because Massachusetts Bay Colony brings significant numbers of women and children, Boston and the surrounding area will have explosive growth rates. In 1634, Lord Baltimore establishes St. Mary's in Maryland, the first English Catholic community in the Americas. Lord Baltimore argues for the free exercise of religion for both Protestants and Catholics. 1635, the Puritans established the Boston Latin School, the oldest public school still in use in the United States. A critical element that the Massachusetts Bay Colony brings to America is an expectation that all members of society, both boys and girls, are expected to read the Bible. Harvard is found in America is a school, the oldest public school still in use in the United States. A critical element that the Massachusetts Bay Colony brings to America is an expectation that all members of society, both boys and girls, are expected to read the Bible. Harvard is founded the next year in 1636, just 6 years after the Massachusetts Bay settlers first arrived. Puritan New England will be among the most literate societies on the planet in the 17th century. Also in 1636, the scholar Roger Williams founds Providence in Rhode Island. Williams becomes fluent in Algonquian while living among the Narragansett natives there. 1637 is a tragic year for the Pequot people. New Englanders massacre the Pequot at Fort Mystic in Connecticut. Concurrently in Boston, Anne Hutchinson gains fame as a reformer who questions the power of clergy in her Puritan community. She and her followers leave Boston for Rhode Island in 1638. Anne is very popular, and many Puritan men held her opinion in high regard and listened to her opinions. A common theme in New England settlement is that excommunicants will bring followers to a new area and found a new community. New Haven, Connecticut is founded the same year.
Now, we didn't went far enough with that, right? Now that we know who did what, and we know when they did it, let's get into how they did it, right? This is Jehovah Chronicles, number 171. Ooh, we moving. We moving. 171. We almost at 200. Right? I should be within that, what? In the next month or so? You dig what I'm saying? We moving. This is Jehovah Chronicles number 171. How colonizers stole the land and acquired titles to the land. All right? We learned that it was through a charter written and authorized firstly by King James I and sixth of Scotland and England, right? So let's get into it, which turns into a whole system, right? Shout out to my boy SIL. I'm gonna show you, because he called me and asked me a question. He heard me say that tribes aren't groups of people. They're not. If you think a tribe is a group of people, you're wrong. Right? Remember, this is the Cosmon era. New information coming out all the time. Hey, little puppy. Now, this is a land patent, right? For James Wren, right? from the Library of Virginia, April 5th, 1773. Right? It says, the English who settled in Virginia, starting in 1607, asserted that they owned the land. Who gave them the right, the authorization to say that they own the land? Their God, through what is called a papal bull, right? Sent by his right-hand man, the Pope. So the Pope, the earthly representation of Christ, the God, gave the authorization for the English, and hence King James, that they could just take anything they wanted to, regardless to who was there. You could even lie and say no one was there. Right? God gave them the okay, the Catholics, the Christians, to kill anybody, to enslave them, to burn their lands, take their lands. And even if they do convert to your religion, you can still enslave them. This is called dum diversas. The doctrine of discovery allowed King James to come and colonize land he had never been to, never seen to the day in his life. All right? It gave them the audacity, right? Was given to them from their God, to say that they could just come take land from other people. Now, during the colonial period, individual colonists acquired real property primarily. How did they get this property? How do colonists get property? First of all, I just got to say all this shit, man. 1, 2, right? I sell it off in plots. That's called a business. Watch this. Individual colonists acquired real property primarily through grants from the Virginia Company, and then by head rights. Didn't I tell you? But what about, this is what they never talk about, treasury rights. You ain't heard nobody in the whole Aboriginal community or in any spiritual movement community ever talk about treasury rights. Never heard you once. What about military warrants? I heard this once. Huh? Did you know one of our presidents got massive amounts of acres of land through military warrants? Let's go. With rare exceptions, right? With rare exceptions, any pre-existing ownership rights of the Native Americans or the American Indians, the current occupants, were dismissed. So how you dismiss a man right on his land? You kill him. And you just take it. At various times, the English stated simply that they owned the land through what? Right of discovery. Y'all know what the right of discovery and the right to conquest? It's the doctrine of discovery. Have y'all ever looked into that? I suggest you do. Treaties were negotiated with different tribes. Were they? If they were negotiated, there should be written treaties with receipts for land that you paid for. But we see you never pay for anything. Why? Because you just asserted that you own the land. in the 16 and 1700s, treaties were negotiated with different tribes in the 16 1700s to extinguish Native American claims. But land was seized. Look, it was seized, stolen, right? Made a possession of war rather than purchased. So that means if we're already into a criminal act authorized by a criminal god and his criminal syndicate called Christianity. Y'all see how this plays out now? Backed by the authority of a white man sitting in Rome, pretending he's God himself. And then did you know that the Pope, through papal bull, gave the people the right to kill anybody, and God already forgave them? So it's like it never even happened, like the life never existed. Did you know that's what Dumb Diversus does? This is why I tell you, look up the doctrine of discovery. Right? But land was seized rather than purchased from the original inhabitants. The chain of title for parcels in Virginia starts with colonial records created by the English. Now, we know these niggas over here can read and write. Where is the records at? And if you trying to say the Native Americans are the oldest, by which they are not, they are Eurasian. They are Eurasian themselves. They are Asian and European themselves. They are not the ancient inhabitants. And some of them were here. I would give them that. Yes, they were just here before the Europeans. You're still a Johnny come late. I got some young brothers to tell you they didn't even start coming here to the 1700s. That's when you got your modern Native American, the Mongoloid European looking like guy, right? Who many times is a $5 Dawes Rose bought on to Indian, right? A fake, a phony, a stand, whose ancestor was allowed to compromise this same head right system, given land that he didn't own or had no right to. But we see from the very first time that a European steps over here, he think he owns something. They're not coming to try to build, they're coming to take, to possess. Right? Many of these in the charter, it says God himself gave them the great opportunity. Did he? What kind of God you served in? A bloody warlike deity. Treaties are negotiated with different tribes in the 1700s to extinguish Native American claims, but land was seized rather than purchased from the original inhabitants. Charters, look, I don't be making this up. Charters issued by James the First did acknowledge the land claims of the Spanish in the New World based on prior settlement. The first charter issued to the Virginia Company in 1606, right? They left in December 1606. They didn't get here till April 29th. Almost, you dig what I'm saying, 2 days before May. It almost took them 6 months to get here on a boat. And it was only 120 of them in 3 ships. Charters issued by James I did acknowledge that the land claims of the Spanish in the New World. The first charter issued by the Virginia Company in 1606 authorized the investors to make habitation, plantation, and to and to deduce a colony of sundry, right? Sundry, let me show y'all this. Sundry means including many things of different kinds, right? Also of various kinds, several, various items not important enough to be mentioned individually. So when they're saying sundry, they're talking about a mishmash mashup of different peoples, not genetic peoples, but in caste, in wealth. So you're gonna have the slave right along with the high man and make cities. You dig what I'm talking about? Of all different types of people. That's basically what he's explaining. To deduce and to make habitation, so them homes, a plantation, a place to grow your food, and to deduce a colony of mixed up of our people into that part of America commonly called Virginia. But settlement was allowed only on territory not now actually possessed by any Christian prince or people. Could this be a reason why many of the people changed over? Like, look, if you be a Christian, man, I don't want to mess with you. Go ahead, be a Christian, you can keep your land. And these niggas, like, all right. Some of them was. Some of this stuff made sense to them. Trust me, they snake oil salesmen. Remember, these are Christian priests. Right? They've been churching and passing the plate for a long time. The Europeans who settled first at Jamestown, mind you, many of these are melanated people, y'all. Don't think these are just white folks. No. Many of these people who colonized and came over here and did all that look just like you. They're not you, but they look like you. The Europeans who settled first at Jamestown were employees of the Virginia Company. Let me see if I can get a little. Hold on. Let me throw a little something on the back end. Just real quick, y'all. Let me throw something on the back end. Right? The investors in that company controlled all the initial English land claims in the colony. The total ownership claim was altered by 1613, after which land titles for individuals were established. Listen, I'm going to read it again. The Europeans, regardless of color, get color out of your mind. Don't think nothing else but these people from that way. The Europeans who settled first at Jamestown were employees of the Virginia Company. You see it now? The investors in that company, the crown, the monarchy, right? And the people that's well-to-do off, the 1%, the investors in the Virginia Company controlled all the initial English land claims in that colony, or at that time, a lot of it was North Carolina. Come here. Yeah, come here. Ooh, little girl. Who you think? Go get your butt checked. Hey, go get your butt changed. Yeah, you come back up here with a fresh butt. Don't do that no more. Ooh-wee. Look, they were employees. This ain't no swashbuckling. Oh, I'm the great swashbuckling gentleman of English hierarchy. No, nigga, these niggas was a job. This was a job. The investors in that company control all the initial English land claims. That total ownership claim was altered, right, in 1613, after which land titles for individuals were established by company land grants to individuals and particular plantations. Right? Hey, stop. Stop biting on stuff. Stop. Little crazy little dog. Yeah. Got something to bite. Crazy dog. Let me get this little crazy dog something to bite on. Here. Teeth it. Yeah, there you go. Like that. Nope. So after 1613, this is when land titles started to be created, right? But not only certain people, but look, particular plantations, right? So they were planning out where the plantations were, and certain plantations were getting land titles. Both things are true. Look, it says right here. And after King James I revoked the Virginia Company's charter, right? Virginia Company is just that. It's a business. In 1624, and Virginia became a royal colony, land was privatized by treasury rights, head rights, militia rights, land grants awarded by the governor and his council of state. Give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. Let me get the First of all, let's make sure that everybody can see this. Can y'all see this? It looked big to me, but should I blow it up some more? Can y'all see that? I'm trying to keep it all on the same screen. Hit me with a 1 in the chat if y'all can see that. So y'all can't hear me? Okay. All right. Just making sure. All right. Thank you. Let's go back up here. After King James I revoked the Virginia's Company's charter in 1624, and Virginia became a royal colony, land was privatized by treasury rights. And what? Head rights and militia rights and land grants awarded by the governor and his council of state. Now, I want to go down, right? I want to just jump into a few things real quick to get some understanding of what was going on, because I'm gonna share this with the crowd too, everybody, for coming through. You dig what I'm talking about? I'm gonna share this with y'all, man. This is fire. You dig what I'm saying? Now we wanna learn about these tribes, so-called, right? These so-called tribes. But remember, Cosmon saying a tribe ain't a group of people. All right? Watch this. I'm gonna drop down. I'm going to read this part first right here. In 1618, the dividend was increased. Hold on. I could probably cut that down just a little bit. All right. Dig this. In 1618, the dividend was increased to 100 acres a share. Colonists who had financed their own trip to Virginia before 1616 were also given rights to claim 100 acres to qualify new colonists. To qualify new colonists, had to stay there 3 years or die in Virginia before 3 years were completed. The first 50 acres would be distributed in an initial division of land, and the additional 50 acres would be distributed once the initial division of the land was occupied by colonists. Now, if they continue there 3 years or die after they are shipped there, or let me read that again. If they continue there 3 years or die after they are shipped there, shall be a grant made of 50 acres for every person upon a first division, as many more upon a second division, the first being people. The Virginia Company also invited investors, right? I wanted to bring this out. The Virginia Company also invited investors to create particular plantations, rutabaga, sugarcane, wheat, rice, cotton, indigo, corn, peas, squash, everything. You dig what I'm talking about? They was hiring certain people that had the skill of growing and giving them land. Right? They invited investors in to create particular plantations, tobacco, or what is called hundreds. Right? Hundreds, because the plantations were given in hundreds in the colony, separate from the company managed communities, such as Jamestown and Henricus. Can you see the problem in that could possibly arise if there are a people who have come to colonize a place, have taken it over, and have come to make a particular plantation of, let's say, tobacco, right? From the Virginia Company, right? But these particular investors are separate from the company, right? Managed communities. So on these particular plantations, these particular investors invited by the Virginia Company had total autonomy. Huh? You start to understand now? You see the problems that could have possibly arisen in situations like that? Don't them problems seem like they could be exactly the narrative they keep telling us about slavery? The company granted large amounts of land to investors willing to recruit settlers. This is where you get your first, quote unquote, kidnappers. They was just taking people, literally, especially children. Right? I'll look up the kidnappers for y'all in a little bit. The company granted large amounts of land to investors willing to recruit settlers and establish new communities in the colony. These communities would not be responsible to company officials. That's a problem. There is no oversight. Take him outside. Put him on the chain. Come on. The company, it said those communities, right, would not be responsible to company officials. Would not be responsible to company officials, so no oversight. Decisions made in Jamestown would not apply to a particular or the particular plantation. So in fact, none. So in these places, men had total autonomy. You could do whatever you wanted to. And I'm pretty sure many of them stories of breeding plantations, breeding camps. Yeah, but breeding camps, you did what I'm talking about, could have possibly played right into these particular plantations. I'm just saying. This is key right here. Shout out my brother Etziel. The settlement of Bermuda. Look at this, y'all. The settlement of Bermuda set an example of providing investors some extra control over the settlements they sponsored. It set an example of providing investors some extra control over the settlements they sponsored. The island was surveyed, right? So they surveyed it, and specific parcels of land called what? Told you. A tribe ain't a group of people. A tribe is what it is even before the people get there. The people become the tribe. Right? And later on, the tribe becomes the people. They take on the name of a piece of land. Set out, surveyed, right? In this same system, if you don't think this shit is real, how many of y'all still got parishes in your city today? How about you go look up parish 16, and wherever your city is, I bet you it's a school there. How do I know? Because I done looked into this parish system, this tribe, this tribal system. So Detroit was a tribe, before people got there. And then the people become the tribe. And later on in time, tribe becomes the people. You see how they doing that? Why didn't they just keep calling it parishes? Why didn't you just keep calling it a tribe and let us know that's really what a tribe is? Right? So if you calling people after the land, why is it so many Algonquins everywhere? Wouldn't that hint to this place would be called Algonquin Egoquin? That's hinting back to what Owaspis said. You dig what I'm talking about? The whole nation. Makes sense why the biggest language in America, bar none, is Algonquin. And Algonquin-based languages like Muskogee, like Algic based languages. I told you. Yep. Well, come on. Come on. Yeah, buddy. So a tribe is not necessarily a group of people, but a tribe is always a plot of land. Check. So niggas can miss me with that what's your tribe shit. Because if you don't even own the land that your tribe is named after, stop talking. If you ain't got some land that at least start to turn into your own tribe. Well, then we ain't even, what is we talking about? Want to read this again. Settlement of Bermuda set an example, providing investors some extra control over their settlements that they sponsored. The island was surveyed, right? And specific parcels of land. What is the parcel of land called? What? Tribes, later called parishes, were allocated to individual investors. In Virginia, those, and I bet you a lot of them foreign names after cities, you dig what I'm talking about, the cities named after foreigners, many of them are parishes named after certain people. Like you might have, like up here, you might have Wayne County. In Wayne County, Detroit sits. You might have Macomb County, right? And in Macomb County, Mount Clemens sits. You dig what I'm saying? Port Huron sits, or you dig what I'm saying? New Haven sits in Macomb County. All these different cities, these parishes. In Virginia, those who established particular plantations could also be company officials, but that's a conflict of interest. How can I be a company official? I work for the particular plantation that has just been given tribes. And yet, separate from the company, the Virginia company that I now work for. I'm separate from that on my plantation. Y'all see that? I can work for the company, but y'all can't check my shit. Y'all don't tell me what to do on my particular plantation. Why? Because it's separate from the company managed communities such as Jamestown and Hercules. So now I got Cowtown, right? I got Cowtown. My Cowtown has been surveyed, and specific lands are called tribes in it, right? Specific cities in my land are called tribes. Now, y'all can't check me, Virginia company, because I'm one of these particular plantations. But because I own one of these particular plantations, I can become the official. Can you say double dipping? Can you say crooked as they come? You had total autonomy, and the only person who could check you was you. And now you work for the company who would do the checking, but didn't check you, and now they can't check you. Y'all see that? This is a problem. Remember the old saying, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. This is how it's playing out in real time, y'all. Your ancestors had to go through this. They had to, you know what I mean? And then these people speaking different languages. A lot of y'all is doing sign language. You gotta trust your homeboy interpreter that he getting it right exactly. And we know that the English would whoop you with that pen. The pen is mightier than the sword. Remember, they didn't come take this land fighting. They had a system. They came in, they planned it out, they dotted out, woo. Then they got their numbers up. Then they went. Right? And how they got their numbers up is that they got with us. Many of these Siouan speaking people, many of these Algonquin speaking peoples, they was playing one side against, oh, you don't like them Siouan niggas? We don't like them either. Right? As a matter of fact, let's get them up out of here. He's like, yeah, man, I ain't never liked them. Yep. The whole time they carving up your land, they surveying it. Oh yeah, we're gonna get this to Mr. Jenkins, and this plot goes over here to Silverstein, and you dig what I'm saying? Yeah, now you got the Silverstein. Now you got the Silverstein tribe. You got Delawares. Massachusetts now. Is this where many of these pale faces, Mongoloids, got their so-called Indian tribes from? Uh-oh. That's why they don't want to deal with Cosmon. I'm going to go back into your history. It's the only reason you calling yourself a tribe. Uh-oh. Look, in Virginia, those who establish particular plantations could also be company officials. The decision to create independent units within the colonies created confusing loyalties and conflicts of interest but did stimulate some of the company's investors to provide new funding for the colonization. They didn't care. They wanted the dollar, right? And what they were saying was the confusing loyalties is you would have a let's say a governor of the city, right? But you got a dude who got 2, 3 plantation, 4 plantation, particularly, plantations, right? He got a crew with him, a militia that he take care of, and they take care of their family off this dude. So yeah, the governor could say something, but if you come down here talking about you pushing the issue any kind of way, you gonna get your issue, because I got a bigger militia than you. I pay more men than you. We'll run up in your house. So they had confusing loyalties, conflicts of interest. See what I'm saying? In these backwood, well, it's not like today. You gotta remember, wasn't no roads, right? Wasn't no roads, wasn't none of that. In Virginia, right? The decision to create independent units, the decision to create independent units with the colonies created confusing loyalties and conflicts of interest, but did stimulate some of the company's investors to provide new funding for colonization. An investor who chose to fund a particular plantation rather than buy more shares in the Virginia company was betting on the success of colonizing Virginia. Seems like a good bet. I would do it too. And all I got to do is get my people, look, go over here, you build some cribs and all that stuff. Here go all the money, here go everything. You dig what I'm talking about. But yeah, all that stuff you producing is mine. But you live there for free. It's all yours. And after you're done with it, 50 acres of it is yours out of this 30,000 acres I got. Yeah, we can work that out. I ain't never even got to see Virginia. And I got plantations, massive plantations. And so, the resources of the land, they just using up. You dig what I'm talking about? This the land of the plenty over here. The land of milk and honey for real. You know what I mean? And them boys bet on a future. This is a stock. Right? This is like betting in 82 that, Apple would blow up. You know what I mean? Or Microsoft. Before it did what it did in 86, 88, whatever, you did what I'm talking about, you would have been betting on it. So you buying it very, very cheap and getting a whole bunch of it. But if it produced, you are going to be loaded. And guess what it was producing? Everything. Yeah. An investor who chose to fund a particular plantation rather than buy more shares in the Virginia company, right? Instead of buying more shares in the Virginia company, he was buying or choosing to fund particular plantations, right? Was betting on the success of colonizing Virginia independently from betting on the success of the Virginia company. It's a smart bet. You dig what I'm talking about? It's a smart bet. An investor, it says, tobacco could be grown profitably and shipped. Look, tobacco could be grown profitably and shipped to market in Europe, and doing so on private land minimize the risk that the Virginia company might not generate an overall profit if you did it yourself. Look, who really working that land? To maximize profit from tobacco production, niggas look musty. To maximize profit from tobacco production, colonial investors acquired title to private parcels separate from the Virginia company's lands. They go depiction in the 1600s, early 1600s. By creating private land rights, the London company traded total control over its land in exchange for profits from handling tobacco and collecting the equivalent of property tax, a quit rents, right? At the rate of 2 shillings per 100 acres. What? 2 shillings per 100 acres. They was getting land for nothing. It was a long-term strategy. The Virginia company loosens its control even more in 1618. A faction of investors led by Sir Thomas Sandys outmaneuvered its opponents in the company. They forced Sir Thomas Smith out of the role of treasurer, which was equivalent to chairman of the board and the chief executive officer, and issued the 1618 Charter of Orders, Laws, and Privileges. The Great Charter was set. Now, how many of us, if you've ever heard of this before, the 1618 Charter of Order, Laws, and Privileges? Hit me with a 2 in the chat. If you heard of that, hit me with a 2 in the chat. Because I ain't gonna lie. When I first read this, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was. So I had to go look at this. You dig what I'm talking about? If you never heard of that before, the 1618 Charter of Orders, Laws, and Privileges. Mind you, they tell you slavery started in 1619. Well, who was doing this work? Who was doing this work from 1613 to 1618? Huh? If you supposed to be some type of Black African, you weren't even here yet, per your narrative. So, who was being took on these boats 1613 to 1618? Right? We see the Virginia company taking Europeans like Sir Thomas Smith and Sir Thomas Sandys, who, by the way, never been to Virginia. Never touched a day over here. They issued a charter in 1618 on land they'd never even looked at. What is it, though? Let's get into it. The Great Charter was a set of instructions from the investors in London. Look where they at, y'all. They're not even over here. But they done got some of their investors to build these boats and get stuff on in line and ship people over there and colonize it. Grow tobacco and whoop-de-whoop-whoop-whoop, whatever particular plantation. I got to throw up the air quotes, particular plantation, that the person set out for as an endeavor. Look what it says. The 1618 Charter of Laws, Orders, Laws, and Privileges. That great charter was a set of instructions from the investors in London, bro. They never came here. Not a fourth charter from the king. Not a fourth charter from the king. It gave greater responsibility for local government to the colonists and authorized the first General Assembly, which met in 1619 here. They didn't meet to 1619. A whole year later. The same year, you supposed to be on the bottom of a slave ship somewhere packed with 400 niggas on top of you, defecating in your face. Mind you, it took them from mid-December, December 15th, to December 15th, 1606, to May 29th, 1607, to get here. So let's just say we got January, February, March, April, May. That's 5 months. It took them 5 months to get here. And you was chained down in fecal matter for months. Nobody could have survived in those conditions. It's an impossibility. This is why I want y'all to know who was really being enslaved. Right? First slaves in America are pale-faced Europeans. The second is the pale-faced African. Third is the black European. And then in the 1700s, right? 1800s, certain American Indians got caught up in the American slave trade. The American Indian slave trade. Later. Right? So we got to put all this stuff on a timeline, or else they can convince you that somehow you was a slave and you ain't got damn slave in your family. You going back 5, 6, 7 generations, you ain't found a grandparent yet from Africa. And out of the, let's just say, what is that? Grandparents is 4, great grandparents is 8. Let's say your second great grandparents. Let's say it's 16 of them, right? Out of them one, you may get an African, but do that make you African if all the rest is something else? No, that make you something else. Unless you just gonna believe what your enemy has told you about a 1-drop rule. That don't work nowhere. You put 1 drop of Pepsi, you dig what I'm talking about, in a bottle of rum, don't make it Coke and rum. You feel me? Just because you put One drop of Coke in a bottle of rum don't make it Coke and rum. And vice versa. It doesn't work, y'all. We gotta stop allowing to let your natural enemy tell you who and what and when and where and why you are. Because when we look back into it, we see the Great Charter. And then they backstabbing each other. They're outmaneuvering each other. Under Sir Thomas Anderson, the company expected that granting land and freedoms to colonists would increase the population enough so investors could finally make a profit. Right? We 1618, 1619, we ain't made no profit. We ain't made no money. Governor Wyatt issued patents to land based on what? They did this in 20 years, y'all. They just set up a system. Governor Wyatt issued patents to land based on head right claims until the Virginia Company failed. After Charles I took direct control of the colony in 1625, his appointed royal governors continued to issue head rights. This is how your stuff was getting to the colony, rather than the private company, collected the annual quit rents of 2 shillings per 100 acres. What is quit rents? Quit rents were based upon the concept the King of England or a feudal lord was entitled to require a person to provide military services in exchange for the right to live on the land. A quit rent or quit rents were based upon the concept that the King of England was entitled to require a person to provide military services in exchange for the right to live on that land. That claim could be replaced by the residence agreement to pay quit rents instead. So this is how they start short stopping and sharecropping, and then making a claim to replace. The claim could be replaced by the residence agreement to pay quit rents instead. So you could kill some Indian people who live at 1890 Little Bird Lane when you lived at 1880 Little Bird Lane, and you could just literally, if you will pay the quit rent, can become Jim and Jed Jenkins, right? When your real name is Tony and Sandra Dumbassius. You dig what I'm saying? So you dig what I'm talking about? Virtually becoming these people. A lot of this was done during Reconstruction, y'all, and it was done to us. It's not. Jim Crow was, let me put it this way. Jim Crow was the disenfranchisement of our people. Not necessarily that they was just trying to kill you and whoop, because they couldn't just whoop you. That's not happening. Right? You've generally always been a peaceful people. Generally. I mean, you hate on yourself, but you don't really do it to nobody else. You know what I mean? So when this new thing and they, popping up in the scene, you know what I mean? You still hip hop even back then. was with the new, you know what I mean? You had some dudes who was with it, some dudes who wasn't, and then by that time you done got mixed blood all the way up in there, and you know. Now you living on my land. And I need that quick rent about you, cuz. Huh? Y'all see the game? The authorization of quick rents with land held in free and common sockage without a commitment of personal service permitted a resident to sell the right to live on the land. Look at this. This is some dirty mess here, man. So long as the next person paid the quick rents, land tenure no longer was limited to members of a family. This is how they broke it up. Huh? You didn't even know none of this was going on. These are court actions. For the most part, only thing you see is a whole bunch of white people walking onto your land one day. You're like, what the hell is this? Who is y'all niggas? Who made an obligation to a feudal lord? Huh? Quick rents facilitated the creation of a real estate market. I want y'all to look. We're going to go back. Right here. So long as the next person paid the quick rents, we can also call these taxes. Land tenure no longer was limited to the members of a family. What they're commonly misunderstanding and misnomering today as a tribe. The tribe is a family. See, this is what they got us all mixed up. Right? You looking for your tribe and not looking directly in your family, you missing the point. Land tenure no longer was limited to just me, my brother, my grandmama down in there. They could break the line. And as long as they got a plot and promise to pay the quick rent or the taxes on it, they could live on it. You see it? But look, remember, they owe this 50 now. They didn't remember they got 100 just to come here. This a whole nother extra 50 off the 100 they trying to get. It's a dirty game. It's a dirty game. But it is what it is. This is what's going on. We need to see what was going on. This is 1600 ADs. I am not crying over what happened over there. I'm not emotional about it at all. That happened to them. But we need to see what happened so we can avoid them same pitfalls. Right? And then the dope part is to be able to see this old system being brought forth and you could just move it over and drop it right into today. It's the same system. Except now everybody just paid a quick rent. They done built the quick rent or the tax into everything. Land tenure no longer was limited to members of a family who had made an obligation to a feudal lord. Quick rents facilitated the creation of a real estate market with willing buyers and sellers who did not need the Lord's permission for a transaction. So now they don't need God no more. Or the feudal lord. In Virginia, in the Virginia colony, quit rents were supposed to be collected by the local sheriff and used to defray the cost of administering to the colony. Quit rents and per capita capitation taxes, didn't I tell y'all, were raised as needed, so England did not need to pay colonial officials from the Treasury of London. So these niggas was getting the PO theirs right off the top. Right? Long as London get what London's supposed to get, long as Caesar get what Caesar's, the rest is bad. And they was doing that, so they say, right? So they didn't need to pay the colonial officials in America from the Treasury in London. They just, basically have it over here. These niggas is in, but that don't mean now in America that 2 shillings for 100 is now not 2 shillings for 50. Or it's 3 for 50. You're not gonna take that? Yeah. Now I got you in here, right? And you gotta pay this. You owe me. This is the beginning. This is the seed of sharecropping. This is how it became taxable. This is how it became farming. Notice plantations or planting and dealing with agriculture is something different than farming. Farming is how you tax a plantation. Taxes were raised as needed, so England did not need to pay colonial officials from the Treasury of London. Right? So now you got extra bank over here in America too. And these niggas, right, in the Virginia colony, who now part of the company, don't get checked because they are these particular plantations, are the local sheriffs. And they go get the money. Dirty game. When the Lord Fairfax acquired the large grant of the Northern Neck, he collected the quit rents from that area. Collection of quit rents outside of Fairfax grant ended in 1777. Remember, we in like 1625. Practically, the 1777 law also ended quit rent collection within Fairfax grant by allowing anyone who paid a quit rent there to deduct it from their taxes. The award of 50 acres for anyone imported to Virginia incentivized people from England to sign indentures. I'm going to go back and read that again. The award of 50 acres for anyone imported to Virginia incentivized people in England to sign indentures and spurred wealthy individuals to find and transport indentured servants to Virginia. Within 50 years, listen, 70,000 people came to Chesapeake region. That's just out of England. Where the rest go? Servants would work 3 to 7 years clearing new land. How many of y'all knew that? that they gave everybody who came over here 50 acres. I mean, if you knew that, hit me with a 3 in the chat. If you didn't know that, hit me with a 4 in the chat. I didn't know that they was giving them 50 acres also. I thought the indenture was them teaching them a skill. They also was going over there for that 50 acres of that land. And it is out of this. Now, a rose of any other name is still a rose. Slavery of any other name is still slavery. But they had a benefit that they was only working for 3 to 7 years. It comes out to employment. Within 50 years, 70,000 people came to the Chesapeake region. Servants would work 3 to 7 years, clearing new land, moving the edge of the English settlement further west into the North American continent, and increasing the volume of tobacco exports. At the end of their term of indenture, contracts usually require that the freed servant be given some basic clothing and farming equipment. That's what I was under the impression. I didn't know that they also got 50 acres. There was no automatic grant. There was no automatic grant of land to immigrants. If an indentured servant had been transported by an investor who claimed the 50-acre head right, then the servant did not acquire title to any land despite their term of service. Did we just see slavery? Did we watch how that really worked? Little girl, why's you? There was no automatic land grant to immigrants. Listen, if an indentured servant had been transported by an investor who claimed the 50-acre head right, then the servant did not acquire title to any land despite their term of service. This is your slavery. Without land of their own, the free servant had 4 choices. The first three were to return to England, negotiate a deal to work for someone else in exchange for support and wages, or find unclaimed land on the edge of settlement and become a squatter. The fourth option, was to purchase low-cost land, typically on credit, then improve it by cutting down the trees and preparing fields suitable for growing crops such as corn and tobacco. That was the dream of many of those who signed indentures, trading up to 7 years of labor for the chance to become a landowner. Those who lived through their period of indenture struggled to become landowners, but the potential in Virginia was greater than that of England until the 1660s. As the forested frontier was converted into farms, many of the servants become landowners. Now see, in Virginia, they could provide their children a better opportunity at gaining wealth. The risks were high, but so were the rewards. This does not fit you, your family, or your narrative. Aboriginal American, Oh, Angui, Mr. Angui Gan, this doesn't fit you. This is not your narrative. Huh? You had already had land. You'd already had farms. You had already had cities. You had already had the things that they trying to cut down is what you just didn't need. As the forested frontier was converted into farms, many of the servants managed to become landowners. In Virginia, they could provide their children a better opportunity at gaining wealth. The risks were high, but so were the rewards. The former servants may have been cash poor, but they could land on credit from one of the many members of the gentry. The gentry were the wealthy top 5% at the top of Virginia's stratified society. Some were cavaliers, supporters of King Charles I, who had moved to Virginia during the English Civil War. They arrived with sufficient wealth to acquire large tracts of land, speculating that it would gain in value over time. They were correct. The investment was successful when someone acquired title to large blocks of land at a low cost per acre, and then to found settlers willing to pay a higher price per acre for small parcels. Y'all rolling out? All right, y'all. Be safe. Okay. All right. Move, little dog. Move. Now look, abuses of the head right system allowed some people to expand legitimate claims. You see that? He got a legitimate claim, but he expanded it. How? Some ship captains, watch this. This is some dirty stuff right here. This is cold, right? It's smart though. Some ship captains arranged for county officials to award head rights for sailors who came to Virginia but did not stay. Come here. Sometimes both a ship captain and the person paying the transportation costs obtained head rights for the same individuals transported to Virginia. In most straightforward corruption, a claim could be filed for more immigrants than actually arrived in Virginia and granted by the Secretary of the colony in exchange for other favors. So what they would do they would claim the head rights on these same slaves twice. And then they divvy up the lands afterwards between the sailors and the captain. So remember, if you get in 50 acres per slave, you dig what I'm talking about? If you get in 50 acres per slave, you just shipped 20 slaves. That's 1,000 acres. Right? You only ship 20, but you charge them for 40. Double papers, right? Double papers, only 20, but half the actual cargo. You see how they did that? How? Because they get in the money, they sitting on the money. Now I got 20 from me as the captain. It's the same 20 that I got from the dude that was sent me to go get them from in London or England or wherever. They double dipping. Claim could be filed for more immigrants than actually arrived in Virginia and granted by the Secretary of Colony in exchange for other favors. Virginia planters who imported slave labor from the West Indies. Ooh-wee. They don't tell you about this part. They only told you about Africa. The great Africa. They didn't tell you that most of them slaves came from the West Indies. How about this? More Indians was taken out the port of St. Charles in South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina. More Indians were exported out and brought in than Africans as a whole. Africans as a whole that were brought to Charleston. There were more American Indians imported in from the West Indies than there was imported or exported out of Charleston. I'm talking about just the imports. There were more Indians imported than Africans imported or disembarked from Charleston, South Carolina. Put that together. Way more Indians was caught up in this stuff from the West Indies. And when they also say the West Indies, are you only talking about the islands, or are you talking about the western part of the country too? Just a little something off the top of the dome that just came to me. Just as they were awarded 50 acres per indentured servant. So, right? So for every slave they could get over here, out of any fashion, out of the West Indies or from Africa, right? And we see a lot of these servants, right? These slaves were Indians, in fact, caught up in the West Indies. Both large and small landowners imported slaves or purchased them from ship captains who brought them from the colony for sale. George Menifee was the first to claim a large number of head rights for one shipment of slaves, obtaining 1,115 acres for the 23 slaves he imported, along with 37 other white servants in 1638. Uh-oh. Did y'all learn this in high school? "23 imported slaves." Now, they don't tell you if they from the West Indies or from Africa or where they from. But they said it was 23 of these people that were slaves, and he got 50 acres a head for it. And he imported along with them. But look, it's more white indentures in 1638 than he had. You would think you would want to get all slaves, so you can get more land. And these white servants working the same land as these 23 slaves for George Menifee, along with 37 other white servants, 23 slaves, right? He imported. Whoa. The 23 slaves he imported are white. Look. George Menifee was the first to claim a large number of head rights. Remember, we're talking about people from England, right? For one shipment of slaves, obtaining 1,150 acres for the 23 slaves he imported. He imported 23 slaves and 37 other white servants. So that meant these 23 slaves was white too. in 1638 in a nigga on the boat. All this coming out of Europe. And even if they coming out of Africa, they still white. Because there's only one African in the continent that call himself African, and he white. He Dutch. He Afri. Look at that. 60 white slaves. They keep telling us it was you. How? When we keep seeing these people from Europe and from Africa. The headright claims for the indenture service listed the names of the individuals. Ooh. But the claims for slaves rarely identified in the individual or identify individual slaves. So whether these 23 slaves were melanated or not, or white boys, they wouldn't have probably been noted either way. But these guys were. The other 37 indentures were. Either way, they all white boys. That's crazy. 1638. I ain't seen a what. Did they just say, hold on, the Virginia planter and the West Indies are directly from Africa were rewarded 50. Right? Now look, whether it came from the West Indies or it came directly from Africa, these 60 slaves that was moved here by George Menifee were all white boys. Ooh-wee. And we've been telling you these boys from Africa are white boys being enslaved in the West Indies. So that fit our narrative. Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. The colony had an excess of land and a shortage of people. It was public policy to encourage population growth through immigration and to induce immigration through promises of cheap land. This policy was not limited to the colonial era. The United States passed the Homestead Act of 1864 to provide free land. Hey, nigga, let it go. Let it go. The United States passed the Homestead Act in 1864 to provide free land and encourage immigration to the unsettled western area. The Homestead Law was not repealed until 1976. With passage of the Federal Land Policy and Management Act. We got to look into that. Stop. Right? Many of these people was given land that wasn't theirs. We got to look into this 1864 Homestead Act. All right, hold on. Let's go down a little bit. I'll jump down a little bit. Let's get into some of these treasury rights. All right. The Secretary of the Colony prepared a pact, right? A land deed, right? Known later as a grant based on the survey. Well, let me go up. Right. I'll go up a little bit. The process of converting a head right or treasury right into a deed of land ownership involved several steps. In theory, the process prevented invalid head right or treasury right documents from being used to acquire land. The process started when the person claiming the head right went to a county court and got the justices to certify how many people had been imported. That certificate of importation would be provided to the Secretary of the Colony in Jamestown or in 1699 in Williamsburg. The Secretary then issued a document, a right, certifying how many acres were authorized for survey. After 1699, a person could purchase a treasury right directly from the Treasury. The documentation of the Secretary, the right based on the importing people head right or purchase treasury right, would be delivered to the county surveyor. That person or someone hired to do the work would identify parcels matching the total acreage authorized. The county surveyor, an appointed official responsible to the court, would deliver the survey to the Secretary in Jamestown or Williamsburg. The Secretary of the Colony prepared a patent, and the land deed, known later as a grant, based on the survey. He kept one copy and forwarded another one to the governor. After the governor approved that patent, the copy would be delivered to the new landowner. The chain of title starts with the patent issued by the Secretary and bound into books at his office. Land was subdivided, resurveyed, and resold over the years, but the Secretary was not involved in subsequent land transfers. This is a key. So the Secretary should have the original chain of titles. Why? Because it wouldn't be involved in subsequent land transfer. Later deeds and surveys documenting new parcels and new ownership were recorded in the files of just the local county court. Once a patent was issued, the land was supposed to be settled within a period of 3 years. Unless trees were cleared and crops planted, ownership was supposed reverted back to the colony. Ooh, dirty. That requirement was designed to spur settlement and deter land speculation and affected individual minor grants. One second, y'all. Give me a second. Hey, if y'all getting a little something up out of this, man, hit me with a vortex in the chat real quick, man. Let me play a little music real quick. And we'll be right back, too. Hey, I think we're going to cut this one a little short come back with a part 2 on this one. You dig what I'm talking about? Gotta go do a couple things, run a couple errands real quick. Time be rolling by so fast. You dig what I'm saying? But as always, love, light, balance. You dig what I'm saying? I just need y'all to do one thing for me, man. Just to breathe in. Let that light in, because I'm Cosmon and I'm out.
And oh yeah, put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh,
it's that Japheth, that Chow Mein, that Papabul, that Tao Mein, since sun south in the arc of Wayne. My brain moving like Tao Sang, so ass above, it's so below. That up and that down thing, this flow is atmospherian. I call that a ground game. See, water is knowledge, so if I'm teaching, you're learning. So how your God make a sun without vortexing current? See, the pattern is ponic, I'm reaching out for my people. Oh, watch me flow through your speakers, you feel the force of the ether. And when the force gets the equal, I'm taking off like an eagle. Police popped the pastor yesterday for pushing Puerto. My DNA is Moshe. Mix that thing with higher water. My spirit rate is OTN. It's just a higher order. Got more light than Kavita. Rap a lot just like Tila. Went from sinner to saint. Shout out my big homie Sela. Got more torque than a sports car. Got more work than a door star. In the 4 million I make, I'm giving the Dr. Umar. Oh yeah.
Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah.
Super 7 in my rites and ceremonies. I'm married to Jehovah, holy matrimony. Confucius say, in the words of Caillou, before you hit the tomb, be a bridegroom. Only got one question for Miss Susan B. On how to last Ahuin is now a Angui. Blame my inspiration, I'm just thinking thoughts. But in the way of God's, we gon' keep it short. Why Jesus wanna kill me, Matthew 10:34. Just a couple questions that I'm needing to know. Oh, watch me flow, it's so potent. Set the vortex in motion. Super 7, I'm floating across the Aegean Ocean. Oh, you a Muslim now, so I guess you making salat. Well, I'm an Israelite, I'ma make him at the Shabbat. Got Moses on the bumper, super slap off in my spaceship photosphere. So I stay lit, peace and light to the faith is so yeah.
Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up